So yeah, how do you accidentally volunteer on a bee farm? Well, this was during my second study abroad summer where I was taking a class in Ireland in social psychology, and then I also took a class in Spain for Spanish, and I had about a month and a half, 2 months in between them. So while at that time I was backpacking Europe, and I found myself in Germany, and I figured, well, what am I going to do in Germany for about 2 weeks? And so I was speaking with a friend, and they said, why don't you try woofing? And I said, what's woofing? And they informed me that WWOOFing is Worldwide Organization on Organic Farms, but it's basically a way where you can go to a country and stay for free, kind of, and all you have to do is work a few hours, and maybe 3 hours a day, maybe 8 hours a day for 3 days a week, and maybe 5 days a week, but basically just kind of like having a job, maybe more or less. You do that, and you can stay in the country for free, basically. And so I decided to sign up for one in Germany so I can kind of learn German from everyday Germans and kind of live up with the locals. And so I signed up for a bunch of little farms, just like, I remember seeing one for bees, and I was like, cool, you know what, if nothing else, we'll do bees. And then there was ones for just organic farms, and then there was ones just like cows and chickens and stuff. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna be a Raffen McDonald, or however you say that. So I sign up for those, and then I get a response back from the old McDonald farm from someone named Kirsten saying, okay, yeah, just send me all your information. So I send it all out. I may have gotten a few other responses as well, but I just send it out. Then I am on my way. I'm on a train heading to Germany, and I'm just talking with the people that are on the train with me. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go hang out with cows and chickens, and it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna learn to ride a tractor and stuff. It's gonna be a great time. And then eventually, after a long, drawn out process, which actually, interesting story, but eventually I get to the farm, or to the area that the person's gonna pick me up from. Her name is Kirsten, and she picks me up, and she's just informing me that, hey, I see you don't have your bee suit. We're gonna have to get you a bee suit. And then that's when I was like, bee suit, bee suit. And so I'm just calmly checking my emails as we're driving through the countryside, just like, bees, bees, bees. And then that's when I realized that when I got a response back from the normal farm, it was from a Kristen with a very long German last name. And then this one for the bee farm was from a Kirsten with a very long German last name. And I did not pick up on that. So I responded back, and now I'm on my way to a bee farm. So as we're driving through the German countryside, we stop at a store to hopefully find some bee suits, because I hear those could be useful. And so we get to a store, and the only suits they have left are from the waist up. So only covering from here up, all this exposed. That's fine. I'm in Germany, no use in turning back now. So we buy the suit, and we head on our way to the farm. And after a little while of getting things together, we head out to the first orchard. And so we begin to make our way to the first field, which is an apple orchard with nothing but 100 or so innocent looking boxes stacked up in various 5-foot towers, consisting of 5 boxes each. And each box is filled with about 10 frames that slide out real easy. They're like little empty picture frames with 5 parallel strings that the bees use to build their honeycombs. And so we begin opening boxes to check for any dead or missing bees to ensure that there is still a healthy amount of bees in the hive, as there's been various sicknesses that have been spreading among the population. But with only a few dead bees inside, we start collecting the frames that are full of honey, shaking off the bees and replacing the empty frames. While replacing frames, we also check that the boxes are not too full of bees and that there are not too many queens. Because when a bee colony becomes too full, a new queen will begin to form, and when a colony is at max capacity, she will fly away with about a third of the colony to create new hives, and you don't want that. And even sometimes in nature, the old queen or the workers will fly around and kill the rival sisters before they can grow, and it becomes a big mess. So it's best to just add more boxes so that it can keep growing in your area. But so, as I replace a frame, a worker named Antony informed me with a chuckle that bees are instinctively attracted to black figures, as they think it could be a black bear lurking for their honey. I haven't checked the validity of this statement, but I did notice that I was not only dark, but wearing a black shirt and dark jeans, and when I looked down, I was struck with horror as my legs looked like fuzzy cowboy pants that you would see in a rodeo. Every inch below my suit was covered in a mass of moving fuzz. But I think, no problem, I got this. Until at that moment, 30 minutes into my first job, I was stung by just one and yelled out, "They got me!" "Oh, but it was just one. I think I'm cool. I'm fine. We're fine." And then the next thing I learned is that when one stings, it sends out pheromones to signal to the others that danger may be present and they should come help. And that's when they all stung. My legs lit up with pain. There was no specific source of the pain at that moment, no. This entire being, the lower half of me, was just pain. For that moment, I was half human and half pain. I can't explain to you how much that hurt, but I spent the next 10 minutes learning how hard it was to outrun a swarm of bees until I finally made it about a mile down the road, and Kirsten came to pick me up. And on the way home, they explained to me that it is essential not to be afraid of the bees, as they can sense your unease and will see you as a threat. So she said that I would have to learn not to show my fear if I wanted them to leave me alone, which is actually a pretty profound bit of advice, but anyway. And even though I got stung, I could still take comfort in knowing that bee stings are actually medical and therapeutic, and they are used to help people dealing with arthritis, immune, or skin diseases due to the pollen and nutrients they collect while pollinating the plants. There's a lot of vitamins and other good things that they inject into you. So many people will just stick their arm in a beehive hoping to get stung with one or two, just as a medical procedure. But so even with all this amazing information, I remember waking up the next morning with thoughts running through my head of how I could possibly talk myself out of this. Because I was just repeating to myself, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go out there. I don't want to get stung again. But that's when someone yelled out, "Guten Morgen, kann ich reinkommen?" And for a brief moment, I was so excited because I came to Germany to learn German, and I understood what he just said. He said, "Good morning, can I come in?" And I was so happy. But at the same time, I really do not like quitting, but I really wanted to leave. But I was in the middle of Germany. Where in the heck would I even go? So I sucked it up and responded in a defeated tone, yeah, komm rein, come on in." Either he could hear it in my tone or just realize I had a tough day before, seeing me outrun the bees and all. He explained that today, instead of going to the field, I would go to help separate honey from the wax in the warehouse. And I hopped up and said, "That sounds like the bee's knees." Let's do it. I'll see myself out. Sorry. After collecting the beehive frames that are full of honey, we scrape off the wax cap that covers the outside layer of the honey with a knife. And once the wax is removed, we place the frames into an extractor that spins them around until all the honey leaks out. Next, we take the remaining empty honeycombs and melt down all the wax so it can be prepared for cosmetics, medicines, candles, and many other products, as the bulk of the revenue from this business comes from the wax. Next, the honey is strained for wood particles, bee parts, wax, or whatever else may remain, and then the honey is filled into large barrels and sent out to market. And then on my final day out in the field, we went out to one of the largest colonies, which looked like a giant concrete parking lot in the middle of the woods with nothing but hundreds of boxes scattered in the center. There was one person in charge of checking the hives, another person was replacing any full frames, and then my job was to get the full frames to the truck and bring out new frames to use as replacements. And by this time, I had figured out a system to prevent myself from being stung. A golden system. And it was a simple plan. Just do not stop moving. if I just kept going and I didn't give the bees enough time to land on my legs and get comfortable, I would be less likely to get stung. So I set to work. I set out the empty boxes out on the truck so I could quickly grab one and go. And for the rest of the shift, I was moving as fast as the bees. And with persistence and adaptability, I learned that I could make it through anything. And then the boss was actually watching us that day, and he came to me at the very end. He got me a beer as we were watching the sunset come down. And he explained to me that he would love to help me with a visa so I can continue working with them and, I can get a position at his bee farm, because he saw me running around and he was like, that guy is motivated. That guy knows how to work and get things done. We should hire him. Meanwhile, in my mind, I was just thinking, bees, bees, bees. And I was just running, hoping not to get stung. But either way, I told him I would have to go back home to finish school, but I may come back one day. And these days, I am no longer afraid of bees as I was before. And if I had the space, I would love to own my own colonies. The main thing I learned is that I should have been prepared, and also reading is fundamental. Read the full email. And also what I learned is by stepping out of my comfort zone, I learned being afraid of things can actually lead to pain. And that things that hurt can be beneficial at times. But the main thing I learned was that one of my biggest strengths is making connections and solving problems, which made me exceptional at learning the language, the job, and being able to adapt to a new living experience and in new ways that I needed to. And while I wouldn't encourage you to start with a bee farm, I do implore you to step out of your comfort zone, go volunteer, go sign up for a WWOOF program, go travel, learn something about yourself, and challenge yourself today to do something that yourself yesterday would have never done. But for now, thank you for listening to my story of how I accidentally signed up to work on a bee farm. Plenty more other random stupid stories and traveling information and poetic stuff coming. If you're still here, thank you for watching to the end. I'm really hoping to start putting out some more videos. I've got so many stories. I've got so many ideas. I've got so many just like things I'd like to make videos on. But I work 40 hours a week and I go to school for my master's classes, taking 4 classes. I have no time for anything. And then I don't have a team or anyone to help me with these videos. So I'm pushing them out as I can. I'd like to get them more animated and actually do fun stuff with them. But right now I'm just getting something out to kind of build the channel. And hopefully as the time grows, we can grow the channel, make better videos, better quality with the content. And hopefully you guys like it. For now, thank you. Hasta luego. Until the next one.